who are some names? Who are some names? Because remember, Roger Stone was the first guy that looked at Trump and said, that you hear the stories where it's like, this guy's going to be the president one day. You can be the president one day. You can go become president one day, right? And Trump's like, nah, I'm a business guy. I'm doing what I'm doing. Who are some names that you say they would have the brass and the balls to go out there and put their foot down?
Here's the problem. I don't really see the person. I'll tell you why I don't think I see that person. We now have a very mediocre tier of politicians in the United Kingdom. All the smart ones who've been genuinely successful in their own lives, they don't want to poke their head into the political arena. It's become too toxic, too damaging. You tend to get absolutely fried for every peccadillo you've ever done in your entire life. Nobody who's got probably the smarts and has been a success themselves wants to do it. So you're left with a mediocre, it's like being, in any company and suddenly a sort of lower ranking, lower middle management team suddenly run the company. Well, there's a reason they're lower ranking middle managers in most cases. They're not as capable as the ones actually running the company. I feel like that about a political class in the UK.
Yeah.
They're just across all the parties, there is a paucity of people that I think have the drive and the smarts to do this. Nigel Farage's Reform Party are getting a lot of traction, I think, by default because the others are so useless. But even he, when I listen to his economic policies, they don't make any sense, right? He's basically a bit of a one-trick pony. He's strong on immigration, albeit I'm not entirely sure he's got the answers. But I hear him on the economy. I think you could be left-wing. So this is a problem. We've got to get back to attracting the best of the best to want to come in to run the country.
Would you be okay with a Muslim prime minister of UK?
Yeah.
You'd be okay. That wouldn't do anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's your concern isn't that at all?
No, not at all. No, listen, I don't want to radicalize Muslim running the country. I don't want to radicalize anything running the country. There's a lot of radicalized elements of all religions, of all nationalities. I don't like anyone who's radicalized. It's dangerous for any country to have people at the helm who are radicalized. Do I think we have a particular problem in the UK with radicalized Muslims? I'm not convinced by that. I think there are radicalized Muslims, and clearly the Muslim population is rising exponentially fast compared to other populations. So we are going to have to look at this and say, well, what do we do about this going forward in a way that you don't look like you're just picking on people because of their Muslim faith?
I respect the tolerance that you have of what could happen to Brit long term, because I think sometimes when you're in it and it's gradual, like the whole thing about you put a frog in a boiling water and you boil it slowly, and then boom, he's dead. It's too late, right? I think sometimes when people are in it, they're like, yeah, well, it's okay with this, it's okay with that, it's okay with this. I think UK is flirting with being tolerant, and it'd be interesting to see who would rise up and want to do something about it.
Well, look, I go to a lot of Muslim countries. I've been in Saudi Arabia. I've been in
To me,
Qatar.
the biggest thing is the extremists. It's not a...
No, exactly. Here's my point, though. But also, they have zero tolerance of people wanting to operate under their own laws when they go to those countries. For example, so the whole debate about Sharia law and so on, I can understand why a lot of Brits get exercised about that, because if I went to Saudi Arabia or Qatar or somewhere and decided I would ignore the country's laws and operate under my own laws while I was there, you wouldn't get away with it for very long.
So why would you be okay with that? Why would you be okay with that?
Well, I wouldn't.
No, but what I'm saying is, so if you were okay with somebody who's a Muslim to become a prime minister, and then say they're the noble one, right? And they're coming in, they actually love Britain. But it opens it up, and an extremist like, I'm going to get in. Then they come in and they say, hey, Sharia law, what are you going to do about it? Then what? Because you're making it a step ahead.
Yeah, but I don't think you can't tar the entire Muslim population with the brush of potential extremism in the same way that you get Christian extremists in America who've committed appalling atrocities. I don't assume that every Christian, I'm a Christian, I don't assume every Christian in America is a potential extremist. I just think it's... There's got to be a more...
You're comparing the two?
No, I'm just saying extremism is extremism. Isn't it? Isn't it?
It is.
Well, it's the same, isn't it?
It is. No, I think extremism is extremism. To me, that's not the part of it. But when you look at the percentage of who is, like, for example, in America, I don't care what part of the world you're in. When Japanese came to the World Cup, do you remember the story about the Japanese when they went to the World Cup? What were they doing afterwards at the end of the game? They were cleaning up the arena. Everybody's like, what are they doing here? That's what we do in Japan. So would I want 1,000 Japanese neighbors? Yes. Would I want 10,000 Japanese neighbors? I don't care what religion they are. I don't care what God they believe in. They are their own people. They raise kids. They go and work. They don't hate America. They don't get up there and commit terrorist crime. You don't hear stories like that from them. They just go and do their part, right?
But I would argue this back. Right? So I went to the Qatar World Cup, for example, for a week. Felt completely safe. There was no hooliganism whatsoever.
But that's not the same as the extremists. These are two different.
No, I agree. But again, I think there's extremists everywhere attached to all different groups. And I would say that I like the way the Middle East has been opening up in the last decade. I think it's exciting. It's dynamic. I just interviewed Cristiano Ronaldo in Riyadh at his home there. One thing he said, it just feels really safe. And it feels like it's opening up in a way that's good for families and everything else. And I think that's great. And I think we should be encouraging countries like that to continue the evolution that they're on. Without sort of, I don't like the tinge of you're all potential extremists until you prove otherwise.
No, because
I think it's unfair to a whole. I mean, how many Muslims are there in the world? 1.4 billion. Are we really suggesting that 1.4 billion Muslims are all potential extremists? Because I don't get that sense of the Muslims I know in London. I walk down my high street in London. There are Muslims running all sorts of different businesses.
Okay.
And honestly, they're not extremists.
When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.